Hey guys, sorry I'm not here today, but I wanted to make sure that you knew how to complete this activity that you're going to do today in class. So we're going to do number one together. So if you would make sure that you have the worksheet in front of you and the Desmos module open as well. You can find the link to that in Canvas. It will be there. Please make sure you click on the correct class link. If you look here at number one, it says use Desmos to create a quadratic equation that will have nice x-intercepts. Okay, I'm going to take a look at Desmos, and that Desmos, page number one in Desmos. And what I have is this. It says find an equation in vertex form with nice x-intercepts. Use a table to create a table of values. Okay, so what I can do is A is locked in place, so I can't do anything with A. But what I can do is I can slide H, and I can slide K to be whatever number I want it to be. I picked these two values for my H and K because they gave me really nice x-intercepts, right? The place where it crosses the x-axis here and here. So I have one x-intercept at 4 and the other x-intercept at 10. So that's what I mean when I say nice x-intercepts. If this was a decimal or this was a decimal, those are not nice numbers. So I want to make sure I get integer values here. And then I created a table of values to get some numbers that will help me plot those points on the worksheet. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this information from this page in Desmos, and I'm going to transfer it to number one here on my worksheet. So let's see here. My equation was y equals 1 times x minus 7 squared minus 9 when I filled in the right values. The x-intercepts, if I remember correctly, were 4 and 10. When I created my table of values, let's see here, I think it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and my values were 0, -5, -8, -9, -8, -5, and if I did one more, it would be 0 here as well. I'll plot those points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I got 5, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I did 8, and then -9, and -8, 5, and 0. And I could graph my quadratic equation that looks like this. All right, and that's all there is for number one and for number one. For number two, it says convert the equation you found in number one to standard form. Hint, multiply out your equation. Use Desmos slide number 2 to check your answer. Fill in the number signs with the numerical values. Hint, both equations are lined up. They're correct. Okay, let's just do that first part. So I'm going to take my equation, okay, which was x minus 7 squared. I got that 1 in front of it. Minus 9. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply this out. Now, order of operations tells me that I should do what's inside the parentheses first. But x minus 7, there's not anything that I can do to simplify that down anymore. So parentheses are finished. The next thing order of operations tells me to do is apply the exponent. So I'm going to square this. Now, please look at this, right? So when I see x minus 7 squared, remember that that's really x minus 7 times x minus 7. Which if I multiply that out using FOIL, I get x squared minus 14x plus 49. That is what I'm replacing up in my original equation, where the x minus 7 was. So the 1 is still there, and the -9 is still there. What I would do next is I would distribute this 1 into the parenthesis, but when that happens, I end up with the exact same thing, because 1 times everything is that thing. Okay, and then the -9 is still there, which I will subtract out and get an answer of x squared minus 14x plus 40. That is now in standard form. So I'm going to write that in this box, x squared minus 14x plus 40. That's in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my equation on slide number 2 in Desmos. When I do, and I do it incorrectly, let's pretend like I did some math wrong. If you notice this equation and this equation don't line up, and that means that if you look here, my equation's wrong. It should be x squared minus 14x, but I have plus 14x. So you'll see that the equations are wrong. When I do it correctly, however, what I end up with is I end up with the two graphs lining up. Do you see how these two lines line up the same? And they're both showing up on there, so it's not like one's hidden someplace else. So that equation is correct. I've checked myself. It's time to move on. So once I have that equation in standard form, again, that was x squared minus 14x plus 40. What I want to do is I now want to use the equation I found in standard form, question number 3 here, and factor this equation. Okay, so I'm going to take x squared minus 14x plus 40, and I'm going to factor that. Let me see here. Okay, so that would mean I'd be looking for the pair of numbers that multiply together to give me 40 and add together to give me 14. Remember, up here on the top, that's a times c, and this is b down on the bottom. So 1 times 40, which is 40, and then on the bottom, the negative 14. So what's that pair of numbers that multiplies together to give me 40 and adds together to give me negative 14? That's negative 10 and negative 4, which means that this then factors down to give me x minus 10 times x minus 4. Now, that's it. That's all there is to this particular question. Then I'm on to number 4. What do you notice about the relationship between the factored form of this equation and your x-intercepts of the graph? So I'm looking here, and I'm thinking about my x-intercepts of the graph. If you wanted to take it a step farther, you could set that equation equal to 0 and try to solve it by factoring. I did see some students try to do that earlier today, and they end up with these 2 answers. And then the question is, what is that relationship between the factored form and the x-intercepts? I'm going to let you figure that question out on your own. That's something that you need to think about, but this should give you an overview of how you need to complete this activity. Each question will ask you to do something slightly different. Now, when you're doing question number 1, I do expect you to use a different equation than the one that I did here with number 1. So make sure that you use a different equation. When you're finished, this packet here gets uploaded into Canvas. Make sure it's complete, and if you have any questions, I will address them in class next week. Good luck. Talk to you soon.